Hello, my name is Joshua Brown from the job aptitude testing website howtobecome.com, and in this tutorial I will teach you how to pass an ieGAT assessment, which is also known as the Global Emissions Test. So if you have an emissions test coming up, then please make sure you stick around to the end, as I will help you to pass. To achieve that goal, this is what I will cover. I will start off by giving you the different types of ieGAT test questions that will come up during your test. I'll then move on to giving you step-by-step instructions on how to tackle the ieGAT test questions. Plus, I'll make sure to give you some essential tips to help you pass your ieGAT assessment at the very first attempt. Finally, I'll tell you where you can download instantly 250 ieGAT assessment practice questions and the fully worked solutions to all those questions. And just very quickly, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because I want to help you to pass your job aptitude test questions, and I can only do that if you are subscribed. And please don't forget to hit that like button, because this tells me you find these tutorials useful. Okay, let's take a look at that very first ieGAT test question, which is abstract reasoning. Now, you may face several different abstract reasoning test questions as part of your ieGAT assessment. Now, what ties all these different questions together is that this test aims to measure your ability to spot patterns and sequences when presented with a series of shapes, images, and various sequences. And I'll show you exactly what that looks like just in a second and run you through it step by step. So all of this will be presented in a set of diagrams containing objects and shapes, and your task will be to identify which shape comes next in the sequence. This test requires both speed and accuracy, as you must answer 12 questions in 12 minutes, which is 1 minute per question. So let's take a look at one of those questions. So question 1 is this: which tile is next in the sequence? Here is that sequence. And here you have 5 potential answer options. Option A, B, C, D, and E. Now see if you can spot which one comes next in the sequence. I've toned down the difficulty here for this practice question, as many candidates find abstract reasoning to be the hardest part of the assessment. See if you can spot which option comes next. Is it A, B, C, D, or E? Did you get it? Well, let's walk through, and then I'll give you some practice questions to take on your own under timed conditions. So first of all, let's take a close look at what pattern you can find. So notice how the pattern moves anti-clockwise by 45 degrees angle each time. So what I mean by that is this: if we look in tile number 1 on the far left here, we can see that blue arrow is facing down, but if we move anti-clockwise 45 degrees back, that's exactly what we get with the green arrow here. That then moves 45 degrees anti-clockwise, which gives us the yellow arrow, and so on. Also, did you take note of the colours? This can be important. Sometimes it may not be relevant and could just be a distraction for you, but in this example, the colours are important, because we can see here there's 2 potential answer options here: answer C and E. Answer option C is potential and answer option E is potential because the arrow is in this position facing upwards, which makes sense, because if we look at the last arrow in the tile pattern here in the sequence, we can see it's pointing at roughly 1 o'clock if this was a clock face, and 45 degrees would make it facing directly up, anti-clockwise of course. But there's 2 options here. So which one should it be? Well, if we take a note of the colours, you can see the pattern goes blue, green, yellow, blue, then it should be going back to green, of course. So the correct answer option here is, of course, option number E. Now, what I want you to do, if that didn't quite make sense for you, I want you to re-watch that, rewind the video or pause the video right now, and just see if you can answer this question by yourself and fully get your head around the solution. What we're going to do now is move on to many more practice questions of this question type. So what I want you to do is to please put your answer to question 2 in the comment section below this video for marking. What I will do is I will reply to every comment on this video, and I'll mark if you got the question right or wrong, and I'll give you further advice and explanations if you need it. Let's try this under timed conditions. So here's the question, question number 2. which tile is next in the sequence? Here is that sequence. You can see I've upped the difficulty here a little bit by making this more complicated as a pattern. There's more colors going on and there's more shapes. Here are your answer options, A, B, C, D or E. And remember, when answering this question, remember the rules we just looked at, including color changes, and look for patterns in object movement. Remember, some information or changes may be redundant to make the question more challenging. I'm going to give you just 30 seconds to work this out. You don't need to pause the video unless you need extra time, but please give it a go under the time conditions of 30 seconds, because this has been designed by myself and my team of experts at How to Become to really help improve your scores with the ieGAT assessment. So let's take a look at this question now. Your 30 seconds starts now. Okay, how did you get on? Please put your answer in the comment section below where I'll get back to you with the correct answer and the solution for you. So question number 3 again, which tile is next in the sequence? Here is that sequence and here are your answer options. Again, you have 30 seconds on the timer starting now. Okay, let's move on to the next question, which is question number 4. Again, what tile comes next in the sequence? Here is the sequence for you. Again, a totally different pattern, but what is the correct answer option? Is it A, B, C, D or E? 30 seconds starts now. How did you get on? Put your answer in the comment section below where I can get back to you. Let's take a look at one more practice question for abstract reasoning or logical reasoning tests before we move on to numerical and verbal reasoning assessment practice questions. So which tile is next in the sequence? Here is the sequence and here are your answer options. You have 30 seconds on the timer starting now. You're doing great, stick with me because I want to now move on to numerical reasoning assessments. But before we move on to that next ieGAT question type, at any time during this video, you can click that link in the top right hand corner of the video if you want to. It will take you through to my website, howtobecome.com, where you can instantly access my 250 ieGAT assessment test questions and answers resource. Okay, the next ieGAT question type is numerical reasoning. Now, the general admissions test numerical reasoning questions may look something similar to this, and we're going to cover this in detail in a second, but let me give you an overview of what these question types are. So numerical reasoning is a test within the ieGAT assessment test and measures your ability to correctly read data. The test is based on a fictional organization, and you'll be shown 6 tabs or a certain number of tabs which each represent a different data set. For example, yearly sales, profits, costs, and so on. And you will also see a question related to the data presented in one of those tabs. Again, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean in a second. Your task is to locate the data from the correct tab and answer question. You will need to determine if you believe the statement in the question is true, false, or impossible to say. Now, in the real test, you must answer 56 numerical reasoning questions out of 129 total questions in 90 minutes, which is only 40 seconds per question. So again, speed and accuracy are really important. My advice is to not take wild guesses. You will be marked on accuracy. Okay, let's take a look at an example ieGAT numerical reasoning assessment test question. Question 1. In March 2022, the dairy and frozen food profits were over £20,000. Now click the links below to view the data tabs. So that is a question, and out of all these tabs below, there will be charts or data, and your task will be to answer whether this statement is true, false, or impossible to say. Now, how do we start? How do we answer this question? Well, we can see that the question includes the words profits. We could assume by this that the required data may be present in the profits by line tab. So essentially what you get here are these tabs of information, and when you click one of these tabs is a link that opens up a different sheet, which will essentially be like a giant Excel or Google Sheets spreadsheet with different numerical data in there, and that could be presented, like I say, in tables, charts, or as information. So let's click that profits by line tab. That will then take us to another page which shows a chart and a table just like this, for example. Here we can see this is the data we need to work out the question. In March 2022, the dairy and frozen food profits were over £20,000. To ascertain this, we only need to make a quick calculation. It looks way more intimidating than it actually is, and that's because there's so much data and information here. We can see in the graph here that in March, the dairy department had a profit of 7.7 and a frozen profit of 7. That just means we need to do 7.7 plus 7, which gives us 14.7. Now look very closely here. We can see that it states that the figures are represented in the thousands of pounds. So to get the answer, we need to times 14 by 7 by 1,000, which gives us a figure of 14,700. As the question asks if the combined profits in March was over £20,000, this makes the correct answer false. So out of the options you had there for that question, in March 2022, the dairy and frozen food profits were over £20,000. We now know that it wasn't, it was only 14,700. So you should select the answer option false for this question. Again, there's a lot of information to take in there. If you need to pause this video or rewind it back and watch that section again, please do so to make sure you get this accurately. Okay, let's take a look at the next ieGAT test practice question, which is the verbal reasoning questions. Now, I don't need to explain this one in as much depth as I just did with that previous question type because it's the same format, but instead of numerical data in bars and graphs and charts, it's verbal data, so it's text of paragraphs. This may be presented in bullet point lists, in paragraphs, in article format. However it's presented, your task remains the same. You must read a statement and decide whether that statement is true, false, or impossible to say. Again, you will have tabs and you need to click on the right tab to find the information itself. Now, this test consists of you answering 49 questions in just 12 minutes, which is only 15 seconds per question. Again, speed and accuracy are so important for this, and that is why we recommend you take as many practice questions as possible to answer these. Like I said, if you want to click that link in the top right hand corner, it will take you through to 250 practice questions for this test. So let's take a look at a sample verbal reasoning question. Navin Singh is the person to go to in the organization with regard to online gaming. Now, is that statement true, false, or impossible to say? Well, here are the links to the tabs this time. You'll see they're different. We have true, false, or impossible to say as our potential answer options. Now, what I like about this question is we may think we need to dive straight in to the online games tab, but that's not true. Reread that question again. We can actually see that the question includes the word organization, and we therefore could assume by this that the required data should be in the organization tab. So let's click that tab and see what it brings us up. we can see here we get this big text article, but it is neatly broken down into manageable chunks. What we need to do is quickly scan the information here. The question is asking us to validate whether the person to go to in regard to online gaming is Navin Singh. So scan this information and look for those keywords such as Navin Singh as his name or online gaming, and we can clearly see that in this tab here, online gaming is easily located and highlighted, and Navin Singh's name is correctly placed next to it, and it states there, meet Navin or our online gaming expert. So in this instance, the answer is true. So don't forget, if you'd like to practice any of these questions in mock exam conditions, you can click that link in the top right hand corner if you want to, and head over to my website howtobecome.com, where you can instantly access my 250 ieGAT assessment test questions and answers resource. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I really hope it has helped you. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because this tells me you find these tutorials useful. And if you hit that like button, that also encourages me to make more videos just like this one. Oh, and please don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn. I've put my LinkedIn link in the description below. It's always great to connect with like-minded professionals such as yourself. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to put these in the comment section below the video, and I will get back to you with even more tips and advice for you. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best with your ieGAT assessment. Have a brilliant day.